found yourself in a conversation that just fizzles out? I mean, you exchange a few words, then suddenly it's silence again. And this could be in any type of setting, whether it's in a professional setting, maybe a social event, or just when you want to make a good first impression. Keeping a conversation flowing effortlessly is a skill that every woman should master. But let's be real, great conversation isn't just about small talk or knowing what to say next. It's about how to say it, the energy you bring to the conversation, and the subtle cues that make you magnetic to talk to. As someone with a bachelor's degree in communication combined with years of TV interviews, public appearances, and large-scale talks, I've learned that conversation is an art, one that can truly elevate your presence and deepen your connections. And the best part is, it's something that you can learn and something that you can master. So in this video, I'm sharing expert-backed conversation tips that will help you glide through social interactions with ease and elegance. These aren't your typical ask open-ended questions type of tips. These are high-level conversation strategies to make you unforgettable in every interaction you have. So if you're ready to turn awkward silence into seamless, engaging dialogue, then please keep watching. Welcome to the Chic Evolution, your ultimate destination for fashion, beauty, and empowerment. I am a former top model and multiple beauty pageant winner. I've had the privilege of walking the runways from America to Europe. I've graced magazine covers, and my passion for helping others has empowered me to uplift those around me. So join me as I share insider tips on style, confidence, and living your best chic life. Because at the Chic Evolution, confidence is always in season. Welcome back to our little corner of the internet where we explore all things fashion, all things beauty, and of course, all things empowerment. Before we get started, you know the drill. Please do take the time to subscribe to my channel. Take the time to like this video for more content like this. If you are new on my channel, over here, we like to start every video by lighting up a candle just to set the vibes. And at the end of each video, we turn it off and I send you with a kind and uplifting affirmation. So definitely stay tuned for that. And I always invite you, if you have a candle at home, to also join in this little practice that we have over here. So I'm gonna light up this candle du verger. We are keeping this good candle. You don't want to waste it. And there you go. Here's our candle for the day. I am so excited for this video, so we're gonna jump right in. And we're gonna start by talking about the brain, because our brain loves novelty and it rewards us with a burst of dopamine when we encounter something new or something unexpected. So this is a powerful tool when it comes to keeping a conversation dynamic and interesting. So people are wired to pay attention when they encounter something surprising, and you can use this to your advantage in conversations. What do I mean by that? So when you're talking with someone, don't solely rely on routine questions or responses. Introduce an unexpected element that sparks curiosity. For example, instead of asking someone, let's say, how was your weekend? Try something like, what's something you did this weekend that you didn't think you would enjoy but actually did? This question isn't just a variation on a typical one. It invites them to think and opens the door for an interesting story, engaging both their mind and emotions. So this technique works particularly well because it shifts the person's brain into an active mode. They might start wondering what you might say next or how their response will be perceived. So when their brain is engaged and curious, they're more likely to respond authentically, keeping the flow of the conversation going, especially when you've created a moment where they're waiting for your next verbal cue. And don't just use the strategy for the sake of being different. It's important to introduce surprises thoughtfully. And if you ask about something that's out of the ordinary, make sure that it's relevant to the person you're speaking with. The goal is to spark intrigue, not to overwhelm them with randomness, right? So you want to pique their curiosity, not leave them feeling confused or uncomfortable. And this strategy works because it also keeps you in control of the pace of the conversation. You're not just following the flow, you're subtly directing it. By introducing elements that surprise the listener, you maintain their attention and interest, and this often leads to deeper, more authentic exchanges. So next time you find yourself stuck in small talk, take the opportunity to throw on an unexpected twist. And also consider the fact that novelty isn't just about the content of the conversation, it's also about the timing. So surprising someone with an interesting question or thought-provoking comment at just the right moment can make you stand out as a conversationalist. So by mastering the art of intrigue, you keep your conversations fresh, engaging, and obviously memorable. One of the most underrated yet impactful techniques in conversation is the art of reflecting not just words, but emotions. So this is the secret to making someone feel truly heard in a conversation. Because when you listen attentively and reflect what the other person is feeling, without immediately offering advice or jumping in with your own story, you really create a deep and emotional connection. So for example, if someone shares a frustrating experience at work, instead of offering a quick solution right away, or your own similar story, try saying something like, "That must have been really exhausting for you to deal with." This simple statement doesn't just acknowledge the facts of the situation, but also shows empathy towards their emotional state. So reflecting the feelings behind the words creates an immediate sense of trust and rapport because it shows that you're not just passively listening, you're truly understanding their emotional experience. And this technique is powerful because it bridges the gap between superficial conversation and meaningful connections. When you respond in this way, you're not simply exchanging information, you're validating the other person's emotional experience. And this creates an environment of mutual understanding, which deepens the conversation and encourages the other person to be more open. Now, the key here is to avoid jumping in too quickly with your own thoughts and your own advice. While it's obviously tempting to offer a solution or relate it back to something in your own life, take a moment to let the person speak freely about their feelings. This gives them the space to express themselves fully, and your response will feel more authentic when you reflect back what they've shared. And a great way to do this is to use language that mirrors the other person's emotions. So if they seem anxious, use words that match that tone. So something like, "It sounds like you're feeling really overwhelmed by everything that's going on right now." Similarly, if they're excited about something, reflect that enthusiasm with something like, "It seems like this is something that you're really passionate about." This emotional mirroring establishes empathy, making the conversation feel not only smoother, but more meaningful. So incorporating emotional reflection into your conversations allow you to respond with more emotional intelligence, and it also encourages open dialogue and reduces the likelihood of awkward silences because it keeps the conversation grounded in real feelings, not just surface level pleasantries. And over time, I promise you that this skill helps you build stronger, more authentic relationships, making you a compelling conversationalist. What if I told you that sometimes silence is even more powerful than words in a conversation? So the dramatic pause is a tool used by some of the best public speakers and even leaders in the world. And it's just as effective in everyday conversations. So instead of feeling compelled to fill every silence with chatter, use pauses strategically to give weight to your words and make the conversation feel more deliberate. So imagine you're discussing an idea or maybe giving your opinion. Instead of rushing to continue speaking, pause for a moment after a key point. Let the silence hang for just long enough to let the weight of your words sink in. So this brief pause allows both you and the other person time to reflect on what's been said, giving the conversation more depth. So you might find that the other person will be prompted to share their thoughts, ask more questions, or even offer their own insights. So this technique works because it makes your words more impactful. So when you pause before or after a significant statement, it signals to the listener that you've said something that matters. It invites them to pay closer attention and process the information. It also builds anticipation and can create a sense of gravitas around the topic you're discussing. By not rushing to fill every moment with a speech, you show that you value thoughtful conversation. It's important, however, to not overuse the dramatic pause. If you rely on silence too often, it can make the conversation feel stilted or even awkward at times. But when used at the right moments, particularly after a meaningful statement or a difficult question. It enhances the overall flow of the conversation. It allows for reflection and can prompt a more thoughtful response from the other person. And this technique also works when you need to give someone time to think or process their own feelings. So if they're struggling to articulate something, a pause gives them the space to reflect their own thoughts without feeling pressured to answer right away. The silence in this case becomes a tool for mutual understanding and clarity. Finally, remember that silence doesn't mean disengaging in a conversation. On the contrary, it can show that you're both fully present in the moment. So by embracing the dramatic pause, you signal to the other person that the conversation is not just a series of exchanges, but an opportunity for meaningful reflection. Another thing, when it comes to conversation, words make up only a small portion of the overall communication. So nonverbal cues like eye contact, body language, and even subtle touches can convey more than what you say out loud. So these signals often form the foundation of how your message is perceived and can either reinforce or undermine the tone of your conversation. So what do I mean by that? Eye contact, for instance, is a powerful tool in fostering connection. So maintaining steady and also relaxed eye contact conveys interest and also just attentiveness. However, be careful not to stare intensely, as that can obviously feel confrontational and just uncomfortable in general. Instead, use gentle eye contact that shows you're engaged without overwhelming the other person. And also, a brief glance followed by a smile can make the interaction feel more open and just more warm in general. Touch is also another subtle yet powerful way to communicate during a conversation. So a slight touch on the arm, maybe shoulder or back, can reinforce your words and signal empathy or reassurance. And of course, the appropriateness of touch depends on the context of the relationship you have with that person. But when done correctly, it helps deepen the emotional resonance of the conversation. Touch can also reduce tension and convey warmth in ways words alone can't. So body language also plays a crucial role in how your words are interpreted. Open gestures like uncrossed arms or leaning slightly forward communicate receptivity and engagement. Conversely, closed off body language like crossing your arms, looking away frequently when someone is talking can make you seem distant or uninterested. So being mindful of your posture allows you to project confidence and approachability, making the conversation feel more relaxed and more inviting. So basically, subtle nonverbal cues are often noticed on a subconscious level, which is why they're so effective in creating rapport and trust. People may not consciously be aware of the impact of your body language, but they'll definitely feel it. So by managing your nonverbal cues, you can guide the energy of the conversation and foster a deeper sense of connection, making it feel more natural and more seamless. Finally, these cues allow you to connect with others on a deeper level, often on a more subconscious level. So nonverbal communication truly enhances what you say and lets the other person know that you're truly invested in the conversation and what they have to share with you, not just verbally, but also emotionally. So the questions you ask can also shape the direction of the entire conversation. But there's an art to asking questions that don't just gather information, but that encourage deeper reflection and engagement. So what many communication experts call powerful question is one that invites the other person to think more critically, shape their insights, and open in a way that builds rapport and connection. So what do I mean by that? Let me tell you. Instead of asking typical questions like, what do you do for a living? That's pretty boring. Try something more reflective, like, what's the most meaningful project you've worked on recently? Or you could also ask, what's one thing you wish people understood better about your job? So these types of questions don't just skim the surface, they allow the person to share something more significant about two things, not just their job, their identity, and their passions. So in essence, powerful questions also work by pushing the person to reflect on their own experiences and perspectives. So when someone answers a question that makes them think deeply, it shows that you value their insights and that you're interested in more than just the basics. So these questions also invite introspection introspection, and in doing so, they open the door for richer, more meaningful conversations. And furthermore, powerful questions allow the conversation to feel less like an interrogation and more like an exchange. They also encourage a sense of collaboration and of curiosity between both parties. So instead of simply answering a question, the person is actively participating in shaping the conversation, which increases their engagement and makes the experience feel more dynamic. So the key to crafting powerful questions is to make them personal, open-ended, and designed to spark thoughtful answers. So these questions should feel relevant to the person you're speaking with based on what you know about their interests and experiences. So by asking questions that matter to them, you show that you're invested in not just the conversation, but in their unique perspectives. In essence, powerful questions act as a catalyst for deeper connections. They move the conversation beyond surface level interactions, giving both parties the opportunity to bond over shared insights, but also shared experiences. Now, let's talk about the unexpected compliment. So building genuine appreciation in small doses. So compliments are a standard part of any conversation, but they can easily come across as generic or insincere if not given thoughtfully. So the key to delivering a memorable compliment is to make it specific, meaningful, and unexpected. And when done right, a compliment that goes beyond the surface level can deepen a conversation and create a more genuine connection. So rather than offering a typical compliment like, "You look great today," try something more personal and unique. For instance, you could say something like, "I really admire how passionate you are about X, Y, and Z. It's inspiring to hear how much you care about this." Compliments that focus on someone's actions, quality, and character are more meaningful than just commenting on their appearance. So this makes the compliment feel more personal and genuine rather than something they hear all the time. So unexpected compliments also serve as a way to just break the ice and elevate the energy of the conversation. So by giving a compliment that focuses on something you truly appreciate about the person, whether it's their kindness, maybe work ethic, or creativity, you show that you're paying attention to the deeper qualities that make them who they are. These compliments build trust and show that you see them for more than just their surface level traits. And personally, I find that the beauty of unexpected compliments is that it also encourages vulnerability. So when you compliment someone on something meaningful, it often prompts them to reflect on their own strengths and their own qualities. And communication is such a beautiful way to elevate and uplift someone. So this creates an opening for them to share more about themselves, deepening the conversation and fostering mutual respect. So to make sure your compliments land well, always ensure they are authentic and specific. The more genuine the compliment feels, the more it will enhance the conversation and make the other person feel valued. So with this strategy, you're not just passing time in a conversation, you're building a strong connection that lasts. Now we're going to talk about the importance of utilizing the pacing and leading strategy to build rapport. So pacing and leading is a psychological technique that's used to build rapport and ease communication. So this strategy involves matching the person's tone, tempo, or body language, so that's the pacing part, then gradually guiding them towards your desired direction, and that's the leading part. So when done effectively, it creates a sense of harmony where the person feels comfortable and understood, making them more open to your ideas. So start by subtly matching their energy. So if they're speaking slowly and thoughtfully, slow down your pace and speech to match theirs. And if they're more animated, adopt a slightly more energetic tone. So by mirroring their communication style, you truly build an unconscious bond of trust. So once you've established this rapport, you can begin to subtly lead the conversation in a new direction. And this might mean shifting the topic. It could be changing the emotional tone of the conversation, or it could just be guiding them to see a situation from a different perspective. So the key is to do it gradually, genuinely, and gently, so it reflects your authenticity. So one effective application of pacing and leading is during difficult conversations or negotiations. So if someone is upset or anxious, pacing their emotional state by showing empathy or mirroring their feelings can help soothe them. So once they feel heard, you can lead them to a calmer, more constructive place by gradually shifting the tone or the subject of conversation. So this technique is all about timing and intuition. It requires you to be highly attuned to the person's energy and communication style, and in turn to be adaptable in how you engage with them. So by using pacing and leading, you can create smoother, more collaborative conversations that feel mutually beneficial and, most importantly, that are genuine. Finally, with this practice, you'll become more skilled at recognizing when to pace and when to lead, giving you greater conversational flexibility and helping you navigate any interaction with ease and poise, especially difficult conversations or negotiations. And now we're going to be talking about the art of strategic vulnerability, so building trust through transparency. So one of the most powerful ways to build connection in a conversation is through strategic vulnerability. So when you share something personal or imperfect about yourself, it invites the other person to let their guard down as well, creating a mutual sense of openness and trust. However, vulnerability must be used thoughtfully and at the right moment to be effective. For example, instead of telling someone you've never had a bad day in your life, ever, share a small struggle or a challenge that you face and how it shaped you, because it's impossible that your life has been perfectly perfect this whole time. Because this doesn't mean oversharing or creating an emotional burden for the other person, but rather offering a piece of your true self that invites them to do the same. So by sharing personal insights, maybe some challenges or lessons that you've learned, you humanize yourself and create a space for deeper connection. It's important to remember that strategic vulnerability isn't about seeking sympathy or validation. It's about being open enough to allow the other person to see you authentically. This transparency fosters mutual respect, allows the conversation to shift from surface level interactions to something more profound. So to master strategic vulnerability, start by assessing the context of the conversation. Make sure that the moment feels appropriate to share a more personal story. Gauge the other person's openness or receptiveness to ensure that your vulnerability is received well. And if done correctly, it will inspire the other person to share their own thoughts and emotions, deepening the dialogue. So when vulnerability is shared in small, thoughtful doses, it doesn't overwhelm the conversation. Instead, it enriches it by showing that both parties are engaged and are invested in the exchange. And as a result, the conversation feels more intimate and meaningful, making both participants feel understood and also valued. The key to strategic vulnerability is balance, so share enough to spark connection without crossing into oversharing. And when done correctly, it creates trust, transforming any conversation into a lasting connection. My chic babes, this concludes this video. For some reason, I forgot to film the outro, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you when? I will see you sooner than later.